Okay, good.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Adam. I'm with my friend Brad here. Just a normal guy like you and me, but he's also very intelligent. So I'm really happy to be here talking with him. And I wanted to talk about 9/11. This morning, I was watching a podcast from Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was talking about 9/11, and he was saying how he doesn't necessarily think that the government instigated 9/11 or orchestrated it, but just sort of like let it happen type of thing. And I don't necessarily know if he was doing that just for his reputation's sake or if he actually believes that, but I think that there's enough evidence out there to definitely make it pretty obvious that it was orchestrated for sure by the government. I mean, first point I want to bring up is that false flags are nothing new to our society, and they've
Operation Northwoods.
Operation Northwoods. Joe Rogan did bring that up actually, and I was really happy that he did. I mean, people have to understand that false flags are actually a natural part of our political system, and
have been for a long time.
This idea that 9/11, it's absurd that 9/11 could be an inside job is got to go away, because false flags are the norm when you really study the history. I mean, Gulf of Tonkin, that was another false flag that they've admitted was a false flag, and got us into a huge war against Vietnam, and tons of people died, and so. So, I mean, people, I think, like you were bringing up before, is that people get really emotionally charged about the topic because it is so close to home.
No one's willing to believe that someone that they trusted could mislead them, kind of thing.
Right.
We're all afraid to believe that, and I understand it, but it's happened before.
Right.
It probably will happen again if we don't pay attention to the signs of it.
I think that's a lot of what it comes up against is that people, if they are willing to put themselves in that place where they'll admit that, okay, yeah, our government may have, orchestrated this event, what that means for them is that their entire world is basically going to break down, because everything that they believes in so wholeheartedly and put so much faith into is going to collapse, and most people just are not willing to even go that far and have that as part of the suggestion. You know what I mean? Like, because the implications are too great to bear. But problem is, when we're looking for the truth, you can't let your emotions get in the way, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
a lot of people bring up this point that calling 9/11 a conspiracy is
Crazy.
not only that, but disrespectful to the families and the people that suffered losses. And my counter argument to that is like, if your daughter was murdered and they go to trial and they end up convicting the wrong person for her murder, would you not want people to find out who actually murdered your daughter and actually have justice be done,
That brings up a good point from my perspective. Just as far as like I say, I really am like hesitant to take this whole perspective of, yes, 9/11 was this huge inside job and conspiracy and all this thing. But what I do like to come back to is this point that, okay, we're all aware of the official story of what happened on 9/11, right? And then we're all aware of, these conspiracy theories that are out there. My contention with the whole idea is that there is not more evidence either way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you really look into the evidence that's being proposed by both sides, like, I'm talking about like courtroom evidence, stuff that you could go to court and try to convict someone with, okay? If you stack up the evidence, that these conspiracy theories are putting forward, and then that the official stories and theory of what happened is putting forward, there's really, if you look at it objectively, you wouldn't know either way which way it was. So then why, it's very funny to me then, why so many people in this country especially, and especially the people that we trust who have immense power over, U.S. foreign policy, what's being done with our tax money, those people are so hardcore convinced that this is the correct theory and this other one's not, because really, objectively, the evidence really kind of, he said, and I might tend to agree, under certain circumstances, that in some cases the evidence towards those conspiracy theories may be a little better. In other cases, maybe not. But at the same time, it really makes you wonder if there's, these two opposing theories, obviously, of what happened, and then of course there's everything in between. Who knows? Because me and Adam, we weren't there. We weren't there. We weren't involved in this, so
yeah.
We don't really know. But then how come, there's never been a court case about this? One very interesting thing, actually, is that I forget exactly how many days. I'm sure we could go back and find some mainstream media clips right after 9/11 and see. But within a few days, the Western mainstream media was on TV and they were saying that this was Al Qaeda, this was Osama bin Laden that did it. We invaded Afghanistan shortly after. Well, when they were announcing, on the mainstream media that this was Osama bin Laden and it was Al Qaeda and all this stuff, the Taliban in Afghanistan, they actually released a statement and they said, if you can show us evidence and prove to us why Osama bin Laden is responsible for this, we will hand him over to you. Okay?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay? So it kind of makes you wonder because, it's to this day, there's multiple terrorists that have committed terrorist acts against the United States that haven't been caught, but have warrants have been issued by the United States federal government for their arrest. And in order to do that, evidence was presented. Not enough evidence to get a conviction, mind you, but enough evidence to show hey, we should go arrest this guy and investigate things further, right? To this day, no warrant has ever been issued, I don't think, for Osama bin Laden.
Not that I'm aware of, but
and it really makes you wonder is because there is no concrete evidence at all.
Yeah.
There is no evidence at all that, concretely or beyond a reasonable doubt would link this crime to this group of people.
And then they have those videos of him supposedly coming out and saying that he did 9/11, and then so many face recognition specialists have determined that's not him at all. That's a totally different person. The beard's different, the face is different, the cheeks are different, the nose is different. But everyone's like, oh, well, yeah, he admitted that he did it. No, he didn't. He never once admitted that he did it. All the actual videos of him talking, he's saying that he didn't do it, and that the government did it, and that the government set him up. You know what I mean? Anyway. But even before even getting into that, I want to talk about the made it happen, let it happen side of the issue, because it's a lot of what it has to do with is looking at little things like the insider trading that went on beforehand, and people taking all their stocks out of
put options
out of the World Trade Center shortly before it's about before this event happened. All it takes is for one person to know what's going to happen a few months in advance and to say, hey, maybe you should, tell his buddy, hey, maybe you should take your stock out of the World Trade Center because that stock's about to plummet real quick, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden that spreads and all these people are taking their stocks out of the World Trade Center, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that every single person that took their stock out of the World Trade Center months before it happened knew that something bad was going to happen, because all it takes is one person. And if that one person knew about what was going to happen high enough up the chain, and that's proof right there that there was something that was being orchestrated, you know what I mean? This, there's also things like, now I can't remember who it was at the time, but basically one of these individuals that for sure would have known that this event was going to happen ended up buying a property in New York with a rooftop view of the World Trade Center towers and perfect plain view a couple months before the towers collapsed, just so that they could sit up there and watch the towers fucking fall. You know what I mean? There were people that knew that,
I heard